Hello again, Earthlings. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Second video of the day. This is because of your fabulous comments on the earlier video about Kirsty Allsop. And they're all brilliant, all of them. Even the sugars, actually. And there were one or two were quite kind of amusing. So I've invited Graham to come and discuss all the excellent points that you guys made. Firstly, quite a few of you pointed out, wasn't it Kirsty Allsop who backed up the Princess of Wales and said she couldn't imagine Catherine making Meghan cry? Now, isn't that interesting that my eye was drawn to that story today, whereas normally my eye is drawn to stories of Meghan, and then hey presto, there is a connection. I'm not saying Meghan has, of course, set any trolls on, because Meghan has no control over the sugars, does she? Poor thing.
No, but she doesn't out them in public, though. She just says, stop it, don't do that.
No, there was that guy, Christopher Boozy, who starred on her Netflix docu-series, of which she had full editorial control. No, sorry, I take that back. Yes, she does have a certain amount of control over trolls and sugars. Harry, gonna denounce them. I'm never gonna let that one drop. Anyway, sorry to interrupt. Go on.
I forgot what I was saying.
Sorry. Meghan and her sugars and her trolls. So you didn't even know who Kirsty...
But she never... No, didn't know. But she never comes out and says, oh, stop being beastly. Don't do that in my name. I don't want anything to do with that. But you'd think she would, wouldn't you? But she obviously doesn't, does she? There must be a reason for it. Because if someone was doing something in my name that I didn't like, I'd certainly stand up and say, oi, no, let's just have it right.
Oh, God.
It's the ghost. Let's have it right. You know, I'm not supporting that at all.
Yeah.
And I'd make it known that I don't support it. So anyone carrying it on would...
Especially if you had, for example, a brother-in-law or a sister-in-law who had cancer, and someone who was a fan of yours was having a go at them. I'm pretty certain anybody would, anybody on planet Earth, anybody, probably even Hitler himself. So Meghan, do you want to speak up? I mean, this video isn't really all about Meghan, but let's get her out of the way first. This video is about a lot of stuff, The next one is, a friend of Kirsty Allsop commented on the last video. Thank you very much. And of course, everybody wishes her and her family well. So that's another thing to bear in mind, guys, that obviously Kirsty will watch videos with her name in it. Anybody. If any of you guys saw a video in your name, you'd be the first to go and watch it, trust me. And no matter how famous people are, or how much anybody thinks celebrities or members of the royal family can walk on water, they are human beings and they will watch everything that is about them, won't they?
It's a bit like the royal family saying, I didn't watch The Crown.
Yeah, bollocks, I'm sorry.
Of course they did. They watched every episode in great detail.
Yes, of course.
Well, you will, won't you?
Well, it's
we even watched Crime Watch when we were on it.
Yes. Well, that's a different reason that someone might be particularly interested. But so bear that in mind, that Kirsty and her family may well be reading the comments. But thankfully, again, 99.9% of the people in the comments were lovely, very polite. There was the odd disagreement, the odd person who disagreed. But again, put it very, very nicely. I didn't actually see, I'll go as far as say 100% of the comments. I didn't see any comment that was, that I think Kirsty would not have liked. And it reminded me, actually, when I read her friend's comment about people perhaps sending 15-year-olds travelling. My parents actually banished me to Canada when I was 15, and I went there all on my own, on an aeroplane, obviously.
What year was that?
1985.
Yes. Yes, it would be.
Why were you there?
No, in 1985, no.
What would you have thought if your parents had sent you away at age 15 to a far, far away land?
I think I went to Malta when I was 15.
But you weren't being banished?
No, I was in a group of air cadets.
Right, so you were on holiday and your dad went, didn't he?
No.
Oh.
We went off in a group of air cadets. Obviously,
Right.
in a controlled group on a coach and things, but
With responsible adults.
with responsible adults, getting your kids. Yeah.
I wasn't. I mean, I was told that the reason I was being sent to Canada was that I had a horrible, violent ex-boyfriend, and it was better for me to be the one thrown out and punished than him. And I was told that the press were going to print loads of stuff, and it was better for me to be punished than for them to tackle the press, because never complain, never explain, and all that bollocks. And so, yeah, I wasn't very happy about it, actually.
But you went all the way to Canada on your own.
Yeah.
And you were met at the other end, weren't you?
I was arrested at the other end.
By Canadian customs.
I was. Immigration.
Oh.
I was
Immigrant,
arrested.
yeah.
I was arrested because my father gave me a letter that he'd written, and he said, if you have any problems with Canadian immigration, just give them the letter. And the letter was in grown-up handwriting, but it said something along the lines of, Dear Canadian Immigration, my name is Fiona, and I promise this is her dad who's written this. And the way he'd written it, I mean, for a man of his intelligence, while I was under arrest for 15 hours, I might add, 15 fucking hours, I read the letter. I said to the lady, can I see what my dad said? And the way he'd written it was like a kid's letter. Like, my mum says I can't participate in PE, or my mum says.
What made your dad sort of do that?
I don't know. I mean, what a fraggle doing that.
You should have addressed it from him if he'd written it.
Well, it instantly alerted them, and they thought, what the hell is a 15-year-old doing all on her own?
Surely your Tom was there and your auntie
Yeah,
and
my
that.
cousin was waiting the other side, but they wouldn't talk to him. It went on for hours and hours and hours, and they called a minister in. A minister. And he came in his pyjamas. Because by the time, you know, they were getting fed up, he turned up in his stripy pyjamas and his dressing gown, hopping mad. And he went and got my equally hopping mad cousin, and they both ripped into this immigration lady who, I mean, she'd sort of said to me, you've run away. And I said, I haven't. How would I buy the ticket? I assume it was an expensive... She wasn't having any of it. Canadian immigration is was very, very, very strict then. Anyway.
Well, they're obviously on the ball, I have to say that. But they should have just gone and checked with your cousin.
Yeah,
and then that would have been sorted quite quickly, wouldn't it?
Yes, I mean, apparently they hadn't gone through to the waiting area to say, is Don, whatever his name was, is he there? And, you know, someone call Fiona, because he would have come forward straight away.
Don, come to the information desk, please.
That was then. Oh, yeah, someone commented, social services and how they handled it. Someone said they're sick of social services getting criticised. I wasn't actually criticising them. I was saying I think they could have approached it differently to the way that Kirsty's described it.
But don't forget, it's quite a difficult job, social services, I have to say. Because if they're told things and they don't act, they get crucified. And vice versa. So I'm being bombarded with malicious complaints. What I would like to see is more people go into prison for making malicious complaints.
Yes.
Because that would warrant 5 years, I think.
Yes, wouldn't that be nice? Perhaps everybody could petition Keir Starmer about that, because there are people who've been sent to prison for saying things on Facebook recently. In the heat of the moment, shall we say. Inappropriate things, yes. Things that require punishment, yes. But perhaps a little extreme.
Yeah, I mean,
perhaps, Keir Starmer
things that are blatantly not true. You know, someone complains and says, you did that.
Yes.
And it's a complete lie. I mean, they should go to prison, I think.
Yes, I agree. So maybe everybody in the UK could petition the Prime Minister about that?
And bearing false witness.
It is, and it's... now this is where I need you to be careful, because I want to reference the psychopaths a little bit. Because obviously you've been through the mill as well. So please don't identify them in any way. Basically, someone in the comments said, oh my, what a terrible life you've had, Fiona. Well, no, we've had a wonderful life. The subject matter of different videos is a different subject matter. And so I might recall a story where that involves that. And this channel was very much founded because of our experiences with these lunatics. And they're lunatics, aren't they?
Yeah.
Especially one of them is...
One of their hobbies is just complaining about people and
yeah.
splitting couples up for a laugh. It's a hobby. They
And
sit up
families.
late at night thinking of ways of messing people up.
Yeah.
We were told that for a fact from someone who used to be a really good friend of theirs who fell out with them at a later date.
Yeah, he had to leave Gibraltar in the end because they destroyed his life.
He was a teacher and they accused him of being a nonce. And that ended his career.
Yeah.
Even though there was no proof. There was no charges or anything. They just put the rumour around and that was it. Nobody would touch him.
Yeah, they're very much the type, they're slanderers. That's really their thing, slander. And it's a very powerful tool actually, isn't it? Because a lot of people, if you go up to someone and you point out, I don't know, a member of the crowd and you go, oh, he's a such and such, it's surprising how many people go, oh, well, I'll avoid them. You know, but I'm not the sort to do that, and I don't think you are either. I'd say, fucking prove it. Does this person know you're saying this shit? I'm that type of person.
You get a lot of that in the military.
Do
I
you?
want to avoid them if I were you. Don't associate with them. They'll drag you down. You know, that sort of
Really?
approach. Oh yeah. People can get iced in the military and they've done nothing at all.
Really? Yeah. Well, when we were living in Marina Bay, I don't know about you, but when I used to dread going to work, and I used to dread the walk down the pier, because there'd be various boat owners, and some days they'd be dead friendly and say hello, and other days they'd all give us filthy looks, and I'd think, oh God, what have the slanderers been saying now? What is it we're supposed to have done? What have we been accused of? And after a week or two, I suppose these people had spoken to others locals and discovered there was no truth in whatever we'd been accused of, and the next week they'd all be smiles again. Did you notice that? It was
All the time.
so snidey.
Yeah, but that's how the twat operates, isn't it?
Graham, careful. It's close to a nickname. In fact, we were even barred from a bar that we never entered and never drank in. Someone came to us and said, you're barred from this particular pub in Marina Bay. Not the ship, different one. And we both said, why? We've never been in there. We don't, what the fuck? So I emailed the owner, and the owner said, we'll come and have a meeting, and we'll get to the bottom of this with this manager, because he says you're barred. So we all went to this meeting. It was very tense. It was very good of the restaurant owner to do this, and he's a big guy. And we all sat round the table, and he said to this manager, what's the problem with these two? Why are they barred? And he said, because this psychopath, one of these psychopaths, this psychopath told me they said such and such about me on Facebook. And the owner of the restaurant said, well, you've brought your laptop. Can you show us what Fiona and Graham are supposed to have said about you on Facebook? And he said, oh, well, I don't know. I didn't actually see it myself. It's just this psycho told me. Oh, the owner of the restaurant, he threw his arms in the air. He went, you fucking moron. What? There's been all this trouble because you believe what that psycho... No one believes what that idiot says. Oh, I remember that. Oh, and he said, you're welcome.
Well, years before that, the psycho had accused her of having a despicable website called Facebook. And this is when Facebook was new and not a lot of people had...
Facebook wasn't new, but the person that he told that, there was a sort of committee, right, full of elderly people, and at that stage, I mean, going back years, they really were not internet savvy. They didn't know what the hell Facebook was before the smartphone. And one of the more elderly of the community came to Tim and said that I owned a website called Facebook, and that they had seen groups on there which were of a depraved sexual nature, which I was responsible for, apparently. So, I mean, that was another thing, wasn't it? Oh my God, the number of things, I mean, just went on and on and on, and people, a lot of people in the comments are like, oh my God, you must have had a terrible life. Yeah, it was intense to live through.
Well, you're constantly having to fight your way out of
Little hair there.
situations that, you know, that they're putting you into.
Yeah.
That's what it's like having a narc or two in your life.
Yeah. Can you see the
Well,
similarity?
we gave as good as we took, didn't we?
Oh, well, what we did was we worked hard.
Yeah.
Work, sales, marketing, work, just head down.
I pointed out to the
You've got to be
to
careful.
the government that he was getting licences in
And you've got to be really, really, really
in a
careful.
company name that had been struck off,
Yeah, there was lots
and
of...
caused him loads of shit. And we caused him loads of shit in other ways.
It was
well.
unbelievable
We
because
just give it back. Say, come on then. You want to play? We'll play back. And we made his life a misery.
well, you did.
And he continued to make our lives a misery. Yeah, well, I did. I take the blame for that.
You're making it sound, Graham, like we were just as much to blame as him. It's
Well,
not
I'm not
the
going to
case.
take it. I'm not going to take it lying down. Don't kick me again. I'll just turn the other cheek. Punch me on that side as well. Oh, there you go. And there you go. I'm going to punch him back, aren't I?
Yeah, I can see it. I mean, this is our investment in Meghan Markle. I personally identify these lunatics' behaviour with Markle's behaviour. I don't know if you can join those dots up, but that's how I see it. That's how I got into her in the first place. I thought, I've seen this.
She's just an attention seeker. She wants all positive attention. And she doesn't want any negative attention. And unfortunately, when you're a public figure and you're right up there and you're dead rich, you know, you're going to be criticised and people are going to point things out. And if you don't want that, then don't live that life. Just go and live in an excluded spot somewhere. It's dead easy, especially if you've got loads of money. You just disappear and no one ever hears from you again. But oh no, I got to go to Hollywood, buy a mansion and get myself papped everywhere. She's an attention seeker. That's the best that I can put it. A talentless
Okay, let me phrase it another
attention
way.
seeker.
Can you imagine our two psychopaths in the royal family? Would they just move to the middle of nowhere and not want to be seen?
God, no. I want to abolish the monarchy if that ever happened. I mean, the last spare who got on the throne, it was another Henry, wasn't he? Look at all the bedlam that he caused with the...
He's not the only spare who
With
got on the
the,
throne. George V was a
there's
spare.
been spares, I know, but he was a particularly major one. He was a ginger, Henry.
Well, I don't think
And
you can
his
hold it
brother
against him being-
should have been on the throne, but his brother died, so he became king. And what did he do? He upset the church, the Christian church in England. He turned it upside down, and everyone had to become a Protestant. And then he
Well-
burnt down the monasteries, murdered all the monks because he said you got to be Protestants now because I've fallen out with the Pope. I'm the head of the Church of England. So and then there was mayhem for hundreds of years after that.
But
I'm not giving you a history lesson, but that's what happened.
Harry is not on the throne, and he's not the spare.
He's not now. And his chances of becoming king are diminishing by the day with every newborn.
Well, yeah, exactly.
So let's hope
He's not a spare.
Henry the Ninth isn't him.
For him to call his book Spare implies he is the spare. He is not the spare.
Well, he was when he was born and when he was growing up.
Yeah, but not when he published his book.
No, and not now. Hopefully not never.
This is going to turn into quite a long video, I can tell. But yeah, you really can't quite see it, can you? I'm sure he can't quite see how Markle has... There are people, right? There are people around Meghan Markle who have been smeared. Her father, for one.
Yeah,
Right?
of course.
There are active sugars
Well,
online.
we saw that. The alarm bells were ringing before the wedding. Hang on, my father's doing what?
Yeah, so you can't see any similarity between
Yeah.
our lunatics.
There's a pattern. There's a pattern.
Because you're implying she's just an attention seeker, which is quite a harmless thing. This is a lot more damage. I mean, she sat on Oprah saying God knows what. And he's written a book saying God knows what. And I don't think he would have written that book if he wasn't with her. In fact, that's the other thing with our lunatics. One of them used to be normal until he met the other one. And then became, so it's a very similar... I see it as a very similar situation to Harry.
Yeah.
I mean, I bet if people knew the half of... I bet you there's a lot that we don't know. I reckon there's an awful lot we don't know.
Of course.
I must remember not to use super glue on my false eyelashes when I put them on. Benji, we said no to him. He asked more than once, didn't he?
But it turns out he met his friends in the end. I think they both came down, didn't they?
They
One of them
did, and they turned out not to be serial killers because I was a helicopter mother.
Yeah, they turned out to be normal. They came in with their parents. they would equally be worried.
I thought they weren't children. I thought they
They
were
turned up here.
middle-aged men or something pretending to be children who were trying to lure Benji into a dangerous situation. I was of that opinion, and the kids used to laugh at me and call me helicopter mother, and I was quite bad for that, actually.
Nothing wrong with that, Fiona.
No, I suppose not, but I'm sure that Kirsty knows her boy. I mean, I've read some awesome comments. One lady said that her grandfather travelled from Ireland to Italy or something, aged 10. Her grandfather, so I mean, we're going back a ways there as well. So yeah, I've done that one. Oh, and a lot of people said at the age of 16, which of course we're talking 15, but at the age of 16, you're old enough in the UK legally to smoke, join the military, get married, and there are suggestions some people want them to be able to vote.
Well, I've always looked at that and you think, well, yeah, but you know, you can join the military, and they say, oh yeah, you're old enough to get killed but not to vote. And I think, well, maybe in America, but I don't know what the voting age is in America. Maybe it's 21, but in England it's 18, and they don't send children to war below 18. They don't.
Right.
They'd
But
have
they
to
can
be
join.
at least 18.
You
They
can
can
join-
join the army, but you have to have your parents' consent at 17.
You can actually join the Navy age 15. I know that for a fact
Parents'
because
consent, yeah.
yeah, up to 18, I think it's parents' consent.
But they would never send anyone under
No.
18 to war.
But they could apply. I know that because Benji applied to join the Navy when he was 15. You had to be a certain height and minimum 15.
My grandfather was 17 when he was captured on the Somme in the First World War. Put in a prisoner of war camp because he lied about his age. Yeah, I'm 18. Yeah. Oh, well, yeah. There you go, mate. There you are. There's a gun. Stick your bayonet on the end. Off you go.
Incredible.
And they didn't care in those days. Everyone was just like dead keen to join up, weren't they? And get tucked in.
Well, when I was sort of 10, 11, I'd look at a 17-year-old or a 15-year-old and think, well, they're a grown-up. So it's perspective as well, isn't it?
They're big, but they're not grown up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
At what point is someone grown up?
Well, that's a debatable argument, isn't it? Everyone's different, I suppose, aren't they? Because I suppose young lads take a lot longer than women. Women would be more mature and sensible earlier, I think, than men.
I suppose we could ask Harry Windsor that. He's got a 40th birthday coming up and he's still playing with Play-Doh. And the final one that someone said was that they don't like that people underestimate children generally. And we've always been like that with our two, even when they were little. We would let them join in with grown-up conversations. We would never shoo them out of the room and go, grown-up talk, go away, go away. I think people do underestimate children and they should allow them to join in conversations.
Well, children are adults who have not yet grown up. That's an alternative way of looking at it. You know, you shouldn't shield them from too much, I think, from the world.
Well,
I mean, you do to a certain degree, obviously, but, you know, it's our job to prepare them for the rest of their life, isn't it? So we need to put as much information and advice into them as possible, and some don't take it and others do. And that's,
yeah.
I think we did all right with R2.
I think we did all right with R2. I mean, yeah, if we ever had stress, like money stress, or you and I had a row, we would never hide it from them because kids can think it's their fault. So, but you know, they join in.
And kids are different. I mean, the daughter, we used to let her wander around the deck in the boatyard when the boat was on, because we knew she was fine. But the little boy, no, we never let him. And he used to kick off, why is she allowed and I'm not? I said, because you're clumsy, you're going to fall, that's why. Because you do, as parents, you assess your children. You know what they're capable of and what they're not capable of.
Yeah.
And you're keeping an eye on them anyway.
Yes, I remember that. And the other reason
We'd previously been round the deck with her the first few times, and we knew how careful she was.
Oh, she was like a spider. She could climb anything.
Yeah, we were really sort of, yeah, okay, yeah, she can do that.
Benji, he'd climb halfway up something and boom, he'd just fall off.
Oh, in my mum's house, they had a builder in once doing something
yeah.
on the roof, and they had a ladder up the back of the house, And of course Ben had gone outside and we were having a cup of tea. And then my mum came in and said, "Oh my God, he's halfway up the ladder. He's almost on the roof." And we looked and we thought the best thing to do is not say a word.
Yeah.
And just watch. And he got up.
No, I think I said to him, "Benji, you need to come down now. Come down."
And he just came down.
Yeah. Rather than shout.
If you go,
yeah.
The child will go like that, won't they, and fall. And you think,
Like when he untied you untied the dinghy for some reason, and it was his playpen, and he drifted away from the boat.
that was his first command. So,
In his-
come on, Ben, row back.
In his life jacket. I think the reason that we just flatly said no to Europe, and I think he asked again at 16 and 17 and we said no, was for the protection of the citizens of Europe more than Benjamin, because he's so overconfident and bossy and liable to form an army or walk fearlessly into a situation he wouldn't understand and end up in a right old pickle. But yes, his mates turned out not to be serial killers, and their parents were lovely. Their parents were in the military. And they came down and they said exactly the same thing. "We thought your son was probably a middle-aged man pretending to be a kid and was a serial killer because our son wanted to keep coming down here." So there you go. But I wanted to let you all know what brilliant comments. I think I've done all that.
But his friends, he went to see him, didn't he? Not so long ago. About a month ago. Didn't he pop into Luxembourg on his travels?
Yes, he did. He did.
And say hello to his friend?
There was another thing I was going to say. Oh, yes. I see a lot of people saying, people overshare on the internet, and that's a valid point. That is a valid point. However, if you put it into a different way, where people say, well, you shouldn't tell people, where you live on the internet or when you're going on holiday, if you take it to the other extreme, because malice has been around long before the internet, you could say in real life, never tell your friends, work colleagues where you live. Never tell them when you're going on holiday. Well, that would be difficult work, wouldn't it? Never tell anyone who your pet is. Don't tell anyone where... Well, that would be just as extreme and ridiculous. So I think the internet is here to stay, and people have got to learn...
some people are very private people. They don't put anything on social media about themselves for security reasons, and that's fine. If that's what you want, then you're perfectly safe to do that, aren't you? But if you do put yourself out there, and like we have... you're going to have people who like you, you're going to have people who dislike you, it's just part of it. It's like, don't go into politics, because
good grief.
Anyone who goes into politics, you will have loads of supporters and then you will have loads of enemies. They used to, when our mother was into politics, didn't they used to have dressed as a witch or something like that?
Effigies, yes.
Effigies marching up and down the street because she closed the school somewhere. You closed the school, you wicked witch! And
but Graham,
you're going to get that as a politician. You have to accept it, and if you put yourself out there on social media, you have to accept that there's an element of that's going to come back, and that's just part of it.
The point I was making, and I made it to a few people in the comments, is the problems that we've had with our psychopaths. And believe me, we were warned, and we just didn't believe people. We just thought this can't actually happen in the real world, and it bloody well does. That was nothing to do with the internet.
No.
That was all real life, real world problems. And because we lived on a boat in Marina Bay, we couldn't hide from them where we lived. So, they instantly had a way of attacking. Because they knew where we worked, and we were visible, we couldn't hide it. That's what I mean. So if you lived your life like, I'm never going to say anything online, well then don't say anything in private. Wear a balaclava to work. Like Kurt Gödel. Hide away, never talk to anybody. The internet is here to stay.
It's just bullies living in a marina. Anyone new comes along, you have to come and pay homage to them, otherwise they'll mess you up.
Oh no, that was not the reason that
It's one of them. Well, there was other reasons. Yeah,
it was because of where we worked. Let's be fair. It was because of where we worked. We were I was told once by a police officer who's because they were always calling the police for this, police for that, police for the other. One police officer who was quite exasperated and sick of it said, "Can't you guys get a job somewhere else?" And I'm like, oh my God. So because of these lunatics, we have to change our job? We have to move? Which is basically what everybody used to do.
Yeah.
It was so horrific to be near them.
The man's tenacity, he's a serial complainer. Serial complainer. The cops are like this, oh for fuck's sake, alright, we're going to arrest them.
I remember one time, he phoned the police on somebody else for another reason, and you were there, and you went and looked, and the police officer said, "Why is this guy complaining?" And what was it you said to the police officer?
Oh, because he's a complete cunt. That's what he does all the time. Said he sits in his room at night, him and his missus, thinking of ways of shit stirring for people. He's got the biggest wooden spoon in Marina Bay. He's a complete utter twat, that's why. And the copper looked at me like that and went, "Oh, fair enough." And the guy was standing right there. That's when they come to arrest. What's his name?
Yeah, we have to be careful about that.
Yeah.
Oh, I've lost count of the number of people who've been arrested. Lost count. It's like YouTubers being demonetised, banned by Meghan. So, I mean, can't believe you can't see the similarities. I know at least 20 people who he has had arrested.
But the best story I heard, and this came from his best friend.
Oh, okay, be careful, please.
I'm not going to say who he is.
Okay.
But his best friend was with him in Casemate Square, I believe.
Yeah.
And the guy who used to be the manager of Dolphin Safari before Fiona got into a bit of an argument with him, right? And they're rowing away about something or other. And this guy clocked a police officer in the background, and then he threw himself to the floor. And he's like, "Ah!" So the police officer come running over.
Yeah, this poor guy said, "I never touched him. I swear to God, I never touched him." It was a lot like the police officer saying, "You assaulted me." I said, "I never touched you."
But they actually arrested him, put him in the van and took him away. Right? And while he was on the ground, he was winking to his mate who told me the story and said, he hit me. And he went, yeah, he hit him. Oh, right, did he? Right, okay, so they cuffed him up, took him away. But this guy was a Christian, and he didn't like the fact that he just lied to get someone arrested, and he might get charged, and his whole life might be destroyed based on his lie. So he went away for a few days, and it was all playing with his mind, and he couldn't go through with it. So he went down to the police station and he explained that what had happened, what really happened, and so they let the guy off. They let them both off with a conditional discharge, and there were no further.
They got a warning.
Charges, whatever. But this guy, this narcissist, he saw that as a betrayal.
Oh my God!
And that's why he destroyed his life as a teacher.
Yeah.
Called him a paedophile and everything,
Oh,
and
good. All
spread it all around.
Yeah.
And but that really happened. That's the kind of guy he is. He'll throw himself to the floor, pretend he's been assaulted, and the ambulance came, put a collar on him, put him on a stretcher, and took him to the hospital. And he was going through with the lie. Yeah. That's how obsessed this guy is with fucking people up.
So you can't see any distinction between that and Meghan saying the whole royal family is racist.
Well, that's a very dangerous thing to do. I mean, I'd never take the royal family on.
I wouldn't say. Would you lie about anybody and say they're racist?
Well, especially not the royal family.
And then she got Piers Morgan fired for daring to say he did not believe her.
Screaming down the phone.
And then Sharon Osbourne lost her job for standing up for Piers, saying all he said was he didn't believe her.
They do that. I mean, anyone.
Can you not see?
That's why we've been attacked, because we were sticking up for Trevor and sticking up for Yankee Wally.
Oh yeah, but the trolls that we've got are nothing compared to these psychos. They are nothing compared to them. Believe me. Meghan Markle is not a patch.
But they need the trolls because there's just too many people out there.
This is a very interesting conversation because I genuinely don't think you've realised what's going on with her at all. You really don't.
Well, I think I do know what's going on, but I don't see the gravity of it. It's obviously bigger than I think it is because I'm not really that interested in it. I'd rather go shoot my air pistol, you know.
I think for me it started in 2016 when I really wanted to understand what their mental illness was. I mean, they're clearly mentally ill. They're fucked up in the head. And I was watching A Crown to start with, and I really liked the girl who played Claire Foy, who did the Queen, and
she was very good, very good.
I liked the way that the silent treatment it made me understand Elizabeth II a lot better, and I thought, that's what we're going to do with these two nutters. And that's when it stopped, really, wasn't it? although they obviously went on and did a few other things. They tried for a while longer, but the grey rocking really, really worked. And I wanted to understand their mental illness, and I found Dr. Ramani, I found H.T. Tudor, and I started to understand why I was in, what it was I had seen in Meghan Markle. I could see a distinction, because I wasn't,
What
normally...
you're saying is you never really understood what narcissism was.
No, and I had been looking for a long time. The closest I'd found back in 2013 was gadfly. There is a term called a gadfly, and that was pretty close to what these two lunatics are. But the narcissist, a genuine narcissist, that really hit all the bullseyes. And actually then
it's classic
some.
narcissistic behaviour.
Yes.
I just thought narcissist was someone who loved himself, and
Yeah.
didn't he bend over and try to kiss his reflection and he fell in and drowned. I mean, someone who loves themselves doesn't really cover narcissism, does it?
And I mean, another thing with regards to people who said, you know, it sounds like you've had a tough life. Years ago, I have no idea what the situation is now, but years ago, Gibraltar was covered in cocaine. And I hate cocaine.
Oh.
I've never taken cocaine in my life. I loathe people who do take it. I bless them if they've got an addiction. I'm sorry, because it's worse than someone who's drunk. It's worse than any other drug I've ever noticed. It seems to convince people. It seems to give them an invincibility. Yeah. And I really, really hate it. And so there was a lot of problem because there was a big drug problem back then.
There was. I tried it once, remember, on the campsite. Some scousers give me a line, so I thought I'll try it, stupidly. And she said I turned into an instant arsehole.
Yeah.
And I didn't feel like I was any different.
It was awful, Graham. You know, I don't think...
Never tried it again.
I think that's the point. I mean, Harry admits to having taken it, and he says, oh, you know, it didn't do anything for me, really. But then I think the person who takes it doesn't realise.
No, you don't. You just feel like, wow, like you're invincible, you know, loads of confidence.
Right.
And that's how you recognise people who were on the coke, because they're full of confidence and bouncing around, and they're, you know, you can see they're fearless.
Yeah.
And you think, oh, I've seen this before. I know what your game is.
Yeah, and unfortunately, a lot of people were on it. And
well, we've all seen Scarface, haven't we?
Well, it caused societal problems in Marina Bay. Thankfully, I think the police, the authorities, the current government have done a lot to clean it up, because it was bloody awful at one point.
They used to go into the toilets one after another, and they'd be snorting it off the toilet, off the cistern. And you could go in there like that and run your hand along the top of the cistern, and it's all covered in white powder. Fingers, you know, where they've been all the time. They're all bang at it. I mean, we're talking like people who work at the marina, you know, they were like bang at it all the time. So I couldn't get any sense out of them.
There was a particular person who was a really bad addict who was just an ugly person on the inside, and really stupid as well. And he would take cocaine, and it convinced him that he was enormously handsome and intelligent. I mean, it was unbearable. Anyway.
Just as a side track, a little funny note. When we were in London last year for my operation, we met someone, and they said, "Oh yes, I'm from Gibraltar." I said, "Oh well, we didn't know this.
God,
we didn't know this woman." And she said, "Do you know such and such?"
This moron who took cocaine.
And I went,
I heard...
Yes, I do know him actually, but I don't like him, I don't get on with him. She goes, neither do I, darling, he's my ex-husband, I hate him.
I know. I heard her say the name, and I just thought, oh my God, please tell me he's not going to be here, because I can't take it. I don't think you could have... I think we'd have cancelled the surgery, we'd have said, that's it, we'd rather have cancer than this twat. I mean, he's unbelievably stupid. And anyway... Least said, soonest mended. That was a lot. Thank you, Graham. Hope you enjoyed that, and look forward to seeing more awesome comments. Thank you all very, very much. Lots of thought-provoking stuff on us.
I'm off to shoot my air pistol.
Okay.
Catch you later on my channel.